Hello there, my fellow Americans. Today we are going to be in a different place than you might usually assume me to be. We are going to be in the Cool Kids Coffee Corner, a place where all kinds of people can come to relax. This week, I'm going to be reading to you some fancy fanfiction straight from fanfiction.net. On today's episode, I'll be going into far in the future, written by Silver Dawn 2010. It is a spin-off to her initial series, Tying the Knot, which I assume would star Sonic and Amy. Chapter 1, The Asking. Today was the day. That one thought dominated Tails' normally scattered and full mind as he made his way through a large open meadow, stopping only to add some colorful objects to his growing collection. Fresh and healthy blades of grass wilted in protest to his red and white shoes, crushing them as he strolled through. His baby blue eyes were busy scanning the multicolored flowers, trying to decide if a yellow tulip would brighten up his bouquet or ruin it. But unfortunately, the only thing that Tails knew about flowers was that a certain beautiful rabbit loved them, and so he decided to add it. Yes, today was the day when he was going to suck it up, swallow his nervousness, and finally ask his longtime crush, Cream the Rabbit, out on a date. No biggie, right? After all, he'd known her for, was it 7 years now? So it wasn't like they were complete strangers, as Cream had come with him and Sonic on their adventures in the old days. And she'd even lived with him for 6 months, once the cottage, which she shared with her mother Vanilla, had been destroyed by Eggman. At the very least, Cream was a very good friend, and Tails had had feelings for her for a long time. How could he not? Cream was quite simply the most beautiful, sweetest, kindest girl he had ever met. But she wasn't so close of a friend that she was practically family, like his big brother Sonic and sister-in-law Amy. You see, I was right, they did get together. No. Him and Cream becoming family was something that would happen much, much later. Far in the future, certainly. Tails felt heat come to his face as he pictured himself and Cream married with children, little foxes and rabbits running around. He shook the image out of his head vigorously and turned his thoughts back to the situation at hand, hoping his blush would fade. Why, he could barely work up the nerve to ask the girl out, and he was already dreaming of them being married? Get ahead of yourself there, Tails. Right now, he just needed to make his way over to her new house, and finally cure the curiosity that was killing him. That was the first step. Looking down at his bouquet that held every type of flower Tails knew of, and some he didn't, the fox decided that he was ready. Since Cream's new house wasn't that far from his, there was no need to take the tornado and waste gas. He would not be able to get there just by flying himself. I apologize, dudes and dudettes. I read that last sentence wrong. I said that he would not be able to, but he would be able to get there just by flying himself. I can do this. I know I can, Tails tried to encourage himself as his namesakes helicoptered him through the bright blue sky. It won't be that hard. I'll just knock on her door, hand her the flowers, and ask if she wants to go out with me. And then she'll say yes. I hope. He suddenly recalled the unprompted advice that Sonic had tried to give him. The hedgehog thought he was an expert on women now that he was married, apparently.
Don't worry, little bro. Just be yourself. Be calm, and Cream will be happy you asked her. The girl obviously has the hots for you. She's just waiting for you to make the first move.
Of course. That's what Sonic had said after he teased Tails mercilessly about his cute little crush, and how he was growing up so fast. Which Tails didn't mind, he was used to it. In fact, he was coming to miss all the time he used to spend with his big bro, now that Sonic was married and lived away from him. At first, it'd been a big step and Tails had pined for the old days. But now, he was used to being independent and making on his own. He was growing up and doing his own thing, no longer in Sonic's shadow anymore. And Tails was coming to love living like this much better. A certain mahogany-colored roof that Tails had memorized suddenly came into his line of sight, and the fox's heart caught in his throat. Oh man, he was really about to go and do this thing. His gloved hands gripped the clumps of flowers in his hand together, and he winced as the thorns prickled through the cotton into his skin. As soon as Tails' shoes hit the dirt, his twin tails stopped twirling and flowed behind him. He sized up the door, which looked larger than it ever had, before sighing again and making his way up the driveway to knock softly, just 3 times. The bouquet found its way around his back as Tails waited for his crush to open the door. A few hopping footsteps later, the wooden door swung open, revealing a pretty teenage rabbit. Tails blinked at her appearance, as she was even more beautiful in the flesh than in his memory. One of her dainty, slender ears was resting on her shoulder, looking so soft that Tails felt a sudden urge to reach over and caress it. But of course, he was too stunned by the rest of Cream's appearance to move. Her face, which held light traces of makeup, even though she really didn't need it, her glowing and warm chocolate eyes, her body which had the not-so-subtle changes thanks to puberty. "Hi, Tails," Cream managed to say, even as a grin overtook her face. She took in his cute face and giggled, noticing how nervous he looked. Cream had always found it adorable when Tails got all shy and blushed like he was now. Of course, he'd always been he'd always had soft, boyish features, but now they were starting to become more firm. The fox was also getting taller. Cream was eye level with his nose, and his honey and ivory fur was getting longer and softer. In short, the fox was just as cute as he's always been. Cream had been hoping that Tails would come and see her today, as her mom was at work, and Cream had been bored to tears. Everything that she owned was just seeming so old and babyish. The girl was 13 and growing up, and she was dying for more excitement in her life. Now that her best friend had become a mother, Cream hadn't seen too much of Amy, as the older girl was busy taking care of 3-year-old twins. And so when Eggman wasn't attacking, Cream was left with nothing to do. So Tails, with Cream's huge crush on him, was really all that she had for entertainment right now. She would have asked him out herself if her mom wasn't so darn strict about these things. "Come in," Cream implored and reached to take his arm, even though she noticed both of his hands were behind his back. Oh, what could he be hiding? Apologies. As I drink some water, just want to let you know that we are a decent pace through this first chapter. How are you doing right now? Are you feeling soft or comfortable? I want to make sure, as much as possible, that you are enjoying your time in the cool kids coffee corner. I just want to make sure that everything is perfect. Make sure you get that nice warm cup of joe in your hand, raise that glass, and enjoy every sip. Now, back to the story. Tails blushed at her forwardness and struggled to keep the bouquet hidden from view as he stepped inside. "Chow Chow?" A baby blue chow asked if he flew in from the kitchen and hovered near the couple. "Look who's here, Cheese," Cream told her pet. "Tails!" "Chow Chow! Chow Chow Chow!" I can't do it! "Chow Chow! Chow Chow Chow!" Cheese giggled and zipped away, as he knew full well how Cream felt and that she wanted to be left alone with the boy. The scent of an apple pie baking hit Tails' nostrils, but before he had time to ask, he had to turn as Cream kept trying to peek behind him. "What did you bring?" Cream asked, her chocolate eyes wide with hope and wonder. Well," Tails swallowed nervously, but knew there was no way out of it now. "I picked you some flowers," he admitted softly, shyly, and slowly revealed the large bouquet. "Oh, Tails!" Cream exclaimed and reached for her mouth in surprised delight, happiness flooding her heart. Tails blushed again as Cream's small, soft hands reached for his and brushed his during the transfer. He had to smile, though, at how joyful she looked from such a simple gesture. Cream continued to stare at the large bouquet of freshly picked flowers. Every color of the rainbow and then some was represented among the blossoms. "Did you pick them for me?" "Yeah, Do you like them? Tails asked nervously, kicking his shoe back and forth nervously. Her head bobbed up and down vigorously, causing her ears to bounce. Of course I do. You know how much I love flowers. Thank you so much. And with that, Cream broke the remaining space between them and gathered Tails into a warm, loving hug. Tails was wondering how much more he could blush, but he couldn't deny that he certainly liked to feel Cream's small but strong arms holding on to his back. Chuckling nervously, Tails raised his own arms up to pull the girl even closer against his body. He couldn't help but inhale her scent. She smelled like honeysuckle, but much sweeter than the bunch he'd picked as a gift. A giggle escaped Cream as she noticed how Tails' namesakes were swishing back and forth. The movement had always made her heart do somersaults. She watched his tails in awe, wondering just how soft the fur on them was. Maybe one day he'd let her touch and feel them. Just when she was about to reach for them, Tails broke the hug. Cream, I didn't just come to give you the flowers. He stumbled over his words, not able to meet her eyes. Why was this so hard? Cream tilted her head in confusion. Oh? I was wondering. Would you like to, go out sometime? Cream's eyes got so huge that Tails was immediately remorseful of his words. But the rabbit was not shocked in horror, but happiness. Oh my gosh, I can't read that seriously. But I'm gonna try. Oh my gosh. Miles Tails per hour, the fox did not just ask me out. I mean, you don't have to. Oh, Tails, I would love to go out with you. Thank you for asking me, Cream said, and pulled him back into a hug. She nuzzled against the soft, long fur on his chest, fully enjoying the velvety texture against her muzzle. The fox wasn't sure that he'd heard her correctly, and had to blush at her loving contact. You would? Yes, you don't know how long I've been waiting for you to ask me, she admitted, and then blushed herself when she realized what she'd just confessed. Relief flooded Tails' poor little anxious heart, and he sighed. Good, so, what do you want to do? Cream bit her lip and looked back into Tails' lovely blue eyes. I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Tails continued to play, and the two of them burst into a giggle fit. No, I'm just kidding. How does the park sound? That sounds great, Cream said happily. Honestly, this girl would go anywhere, just to get out of the house and spend some time with Tails. And with that, the fox and rabbit left to go on their first official date, holding hands and smiling sweetly at the other. It had been such a long time since Cream had had this much fun. Instead of being cooped up and bored, she felt like she was alive again, just by spending time with Tails at both the park and later at the movies. The two had fun, laughed, and jokingly read that sentence wrong. Laughing and joking and holding hands. Excuse me. It really wasn't much, but it was a start. But at the end of the day, just as the sun was setting, Tails knew it'd be time to bring Cream home. As much as he wanted to stay out with her, he knew he didn't want to push this luck any more than he already had. Goodbye, Tails. Thanks. I had a great night, Cream said at the end of the evening, but remained planted on her porch with no sign that she was about to go inside, hoping that Tails was thinking what she was. One look at the way he kept staring down at his feet, though, confirmed her suspicions that he was. Please, kiss me, Tails. I want to know how that feels so badly. Shyly, Tails lifted his eyes to meet hers. Oh man, look at her. She's so pretty. I want to kiss her so badly, but what if I miss, or... Seeing he needed a little bit of encouragement, Cream started leaning forward herself. Oh, his lips looked so soft, and all the girl wanted right then was to feel them sweetly pressed against hers. Seeing her desire match his, Tails took a deep breath to try and calm his rapidly beating heart, and extended his neck out. He gave her hands a squeeze to try and steady both of them. His nose brushed against hers and was rewarded with not only the soft touch, but her heavenly floral scent. Tails' blue eyes were now only a few inches from Cream's brown ones, until I apologize. Tails' blue eyes were now only a few inches from Cream's brown ones, until the girl veiled them and puckered her lips, fully expecting the best moment of her life in the next second. The door suddenly swung open. Cream the rabbit. Both teens immediately broke contact and blushed profusely as Vanilla regarded them sternly. Mom! Cream stuttered as Tails let go of her hands and took a few steps back, refusing to look at her. She could feel her heart hammering even louder, though, not from anticipation but from fear. Where have you been, young lady? The mother asked fiercely. Cream blushed even more as she remembered that she hadn't left a note. Oh, darn how she had been so stupid. She'd just been so excited when Tails had asked her out, she hadn't even thought of what her mom would think. I was just with Tails, she said defensively, but shrunk a little from Vanilla's anger. She really hated to be in trouble, and it wasn't something she was used to. Vanilla's eyes drifted from her daughter to Tails, who was still blushing and looking away. With Tails? A boy? Oh. Were they on a date? Vanilla bit into her lip, but at the look of obvious remorse on Cream's face, she remembered how worried she'd been, and was just glad to see her daughter safe and sound. Oh, Cream, she said much more tenderly and wrapped the rabbit in an unsuspecting hug. I'm just glad you're okay. I was so worried when you weren't home when I got here, and I was afraid I'd have to call someone. Vanilla patted her daughter's back and stroked her ears, relieved that she wasn't hurt. Her eyes opened after a second, and... Ooh man, I just lost track of everything. Her heart sped up again in worry as she wondered what else they may have been doing, or might have done. Good night, Tails. Please make it home safely, dear, she told the boy, and he immediately nodded and left, feeling embarrassed and like he'd just dodged a bullet. Cream wanted to turn and thank him for the date again, but Vanilla was holding her too tightly. I'm sorry, Mom, she apologized, and meant it. I didn't mean to worry you. I'll tell you next time I go out. It's alright, Creamy. But honey, you and I need to have a talk. Cream's stomach dropped down to her feet at that word, and braced herself for a lecture as she walked back inside. Author's notes. Yeah, so I know I said that I wasn't going to write this next, but inspiration had its own mind. None of my other ideas were as clear as this one was. So here we are, the spin-off to Tying the Knot, which, if you haven't read, don't sweat it, but know there will be quite a few references to that story, and Passion, which is the original. This story is what happens to Tails and Cream in the aftermath of those two stories. I feel it was just begging to be written. This takes place 7 years after the games, and so about 2 years after the end of Tying the Knot. As far as couples go, this story will be mainly Tail Cream, my first time doing a story mostly about them, but I've written about them so much I think I can pull it off. But there will also be some Son Amy. Oh come on, it's me, and I don't get to write those two married like ever, and one more minor couple that will be a surprise. Winky face. There will also be too much Sonic Tails brotherly and some Amy Cream sisterly and Amy Vanilla friendship. That's all for the intro. Stay tuned. So, how are you doing so far, my lovely guests? I feel as though that when you start to really process and understand stories, when you get good feelings about the things that are about to happen, that sometimes you just get absorbed. You just enter a new realm, and I want the Cool Kids Coffee Corner to be a place where you can get absorbed, where you can enter stories and lives and everything. In this world, you can enter the world. I don't know where I was going with that, but I do know for a fact that we are about to enter Chapter 2, When You're Older. Thanks to Trinita, Trumpet Girl 818, Mana the Cat Magician, Tyrannifex, 01 Sunami 01, BK00, Jackal the Kitsume, Prominence Flare, Auto Knight 01, Hollow Spartio 258, Delta 2-1, Novus Umbra, and Polka. Ah, my super awesome, incredibly loyal reviewers. Thanks. Love ya. I know that I have some readers who are like die-hard Tails and Cream. This one's for you guys, and some readers that are iffy on the couple, but my hope is that you all enjoy my story. I'm sorry about the way I'm writing Tails and Cream. Picturing them as teenagers is not that easy to do, for me at least. Plus, they're gonna seem a bit out of character, but that can't be helped. They're older. You can't tell me a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old are gonna act the same way. And that's sort of the point of this story. It's like a coming-of-age thing. But you'll see that as we go on. Apologies as I get another sip of water. And we continue. Chapter 2. When You're Older. 2 pairs of shoes scuffled their way across the carpet, the leading pair firm, the following pair dragging. Cream kept her eyes trained down to the ground, her stomach cold with dread. She knew that she would have left a note. She knew that she should have left a note telling her mother of her whereabouts before she'd left, but it just slipped her mind. But it wasn't really that big of a deal, was it? She was safe now, and nothing had happened, so why did her mother have such a stern look on her face? Vanilla sat down on one end of the couch, smoothed down her skirts, and regarded her daughter with worried eyes. Ever since that whole incident with Sonic and Amy a few years ago, Vanilla had dreaded this day. The day when her own little girl would grow up and start capturing boys' hearts. It had actually come later than she'd thought, so that was one thing to be thankful for. But now that it was here, Vanilla still felt unprepared and unwilling to lose Cream so fast. This was something that she'd lost countless hours of sleep to over the past few years, thinking that one day Cream would be out spending close, intimate time with boys, and Vanilla wouldn't be able to watch and make sure that Cream behaved herself. It wasn't that Vanilla didn't trust Cream to behave, it was just that, well, Cream was still young and innocent, and Vanilla had witnessed firsthand and up close what Amy had gone through when she was innocent and Sonic had taken advantage and left her pregnant. So Vanilla knew the dangers of careless dating and hookups at a young age, as well as the hardships of being a single mom, by her own personal experience. The last thing she wanted was to have her own daughter follow in Amy's footsteps and become an unwed teenage mother. It would be too much of a burden on her, heck on anyone. So it was for Cream's own good that Vanilla was worried for their daughter. Ever since her previous husband left her, Cream was all that Vanilla had, and she didn't want to lose her as well, and it didn't matter to what. Vanilla felt her heart clench as she realized what she'd have to do, if just for Cream's sake. She didn't like being the bad guy, but sometimes love had to be tough. "I'm really sorry, Mom," Cream apologized again, breaking the awkward silence. "I'll make sure that next time I go out, I'll leave you a note, and I'll be sure to ask ahead of time. Honey, I forgive you. But I want you to know how worried I was. I had a long day at work, and I was expecting you to be home, but you weren't there. What was I supposed to think? What if something had really happened to you? I know, I am sorry, but it's over now, and I won't go out without your permission again," she promised softly, already wishing this conversation was over. Vanilla swallowed. "What were you and Tails doing, dear?" "We just went out on a date," Cream said defensively. "He brought me flowers, and then we went to the park and took a walk and played on the swings. Then we went to the movies. Tails was really sweet the whole time. He didn't do anything wrong." She recounted in detail, knowing that her mom would just ask more questions if she didn't tell her everything. Vanilla's brown eyes studied the ceiling for a moment, contemplating Cream's words, then she looked back down. "Oh, Cream, I've been meaning to tell you this earlier, but I was afraid that I would be bringing it up too soon. But now that I see that I was too late, and waited too long, I'm sorry, Creamy. Mom, if you're gonna give me the talk, I already know about all that," she said, blushing just a little. "Oh, I know you know about The S word. And that is what scares me, as your loving mother. Now there wasn't a square inch on Cream's face that wasn't beet red. Mom, she protested, me and Tails aren't going to do that until if we get married, just like you always told me what was right. Even so, Cream, her voice lowered, indicating that she was serious about her next words. I think that it might be best if you waited a while before you started dating. Her blood froze and turned Cream's face back to the porcelain white color it was normally. How long? She was almost afraid to ask. Vanilla didn't bat an eyelash. Not until you're 16. Cream's jaw dropped down to her lap. What? 16? Why? For your own good, honey. I just want to protect you. And right now, you're too young to be running around with the boy. But Mom, look! I'm sorry I didn't leave a note. I promise I will next time. Cream promised, trying not to think that she'd have to wait 3 more years before she would be able to go out with Tails again. That was way too far in the future. Vanilla's eyes flashed, upset that Cream was interrupting her. Cream didn't usually do that, but still, she kept her composure. This isn't just about today, sweetie. This is about your own safety. Remember what happened to Amy? She was careless and was put in that situation. I'm not that stupid. Me and Tails won't do that. What's wrong with just going out on normal dates? It's not fair to punish me for what Amy did. Cream blushed again at the thought, but was too worked up to realize that she had just called her best friend stupid. It doesn't matter, dear. Things can start slow, but they will build up to that point. I just think it would be best for you to wait. Enjoy your childhood. But I'm not a kid anymore. I'm 13. How long are you going to treat me like a baby? It's not fair. Cream spat out, scowling. Oh no. At these words, mother and daughter froze, both shocked at Cream's uncharacteristic outburst. Cream felt fear tug at her heart again as Vanilla's expression became more austere. Cream, this isn't up for debate. I'm telling you, no dates until you're 16, young lady, and that's that, Vanilla said firmly. She wasn't willing to bend on this one. But that's not... Cream trailed off, knowing that she wouldn't be able to argue her way out. But her mind immediately drifted to Tails. Oh, would she really not be able to see him, hold him, kiss him anymore? For 3 whole years? Oh, that would be too long. She couldn't make it. He was too cute, too kind, and Cream had crushed on him forever and already waited this long. So you just want me to break up with him? She asked, dejected. Oh my gosh. So you just want me to break up with him? She asked, dejected, her heart slowly spinning at the seams. Yes, if he loves you, he'll wait for you. Now, do you understand me, Cream? No dating. And tomorrow I want you to call him and explain what I said, alright, honey? She sighed sadly, feeling utterly powerless over her own fate. Yes, Mom. Thank you, dear. Remember, this is for your own good. Vanilla stood up to finish baking supper. I'm not doing this to ruin your fun or to be mean. I really do care about you, honey. I want to protect you and do what's best for you. There'll be plenty of time for you to go on dates when you're older. Cream nodded absent-mindedly, but her thoughts kept drifting back to Tails. They had been having so much fun earlier. What had been wrong with that? They hadn't done anything wrong. Did her mom really think she wasn't going to sleep with Tails? As much as Cream didn't want to blame Amy and Sonic's careless act, she couldn't help it. But why should she have to suffer because they hadn't planned on becoming parents? It's just not fair. I'm a victim to an overprotective mother, Cream thought as she helped set the table. Unfamiliar feelings of bitterness and rudeness flooded her heart and replaced the feelings of helplessness. For the first half of dinner, Vanilla changed the subject and recounted her day at work, but the second half was spent in awkward silence, with Cream half-heartedly eating, for her heart was broken, and drowning in self-pity. Oh, what will Tails say when I tell him? If he asks me out again, I'll have to say no, even though I like him and want to date him so badly. What if he doesn't want to wait for 3 years? Or what if he says he'll wait, but he finds someone else who can date him right now? Tears prickled at her eyes, and Cream excused herself from the table. She loaded the dishwasher after rinsing off her half-empty plate, and then raced upstairs to finish off her evening. As soon as the bedroom door slammed shut, Cream's eyes started trembling. She bit into her lip, but nothing could dam the flood of tears, and soon her face and lips, which had been just an inch from Tails only an hour ago, were instead met with the sad, salty droplets. "Chow, chow," Cheese tried to comfort her by nuzzling against her shoulder. Cream sniffled and hugged her pet even closer, just now realizing that her only true friend was present right here. Excuse me. Well, how far are we? Okay. "Oh, Cheese, it's just not fair. What am I gonna do? I've liked Tails for such a long time, but Mom is going to make me wait for 3 more years. Why should I have to give him up? We didn't even do anything." "Chow." The rabbit made her way to the bed, guided by her sobs and need to feel more comfort than just her chow. But even the soft, fluffy down pillow just reminded her of her crush and his famous appendages. Even so, she pulled it against her wet face. As she reached around the pillow, though, her gloved hands brushed a piece of paper that had been resting underneath it. Cream sniffled and reached for the paper, though her heart sank even further when she remembered it was the picture of Tails she'd been keeping under her pillow for the past year or so, hoping and dreaming. Cream continued to study the photo, her heart aching. Oh, Tails just looked so adorable in this photo, with just a hint of a shy smile on his muzzle, his tail bordering him, his bangs adorably falling over his dazzling blue eyes. Oh, but she couldn't have him. Dun dun dun. This just wasn't fair. Another tortured sob escaped Cream's throat as she crumpled the picture of Tails up and tossed it away. What did it matter? He would never be willing to wait for her, and neither would any other boy. Cream was just destined to be single for the next few years. But I don't want to be a kid anymore. I want to grow up. But how can I if Mom won't let me? How can I stay alone at home all day? And how can I live without Tails? After she cried for a few more minutes, Cream raised her head and brown eyes looked around her room. She suddenly felt too big and old for the princess pink curtains and wallpaper, and the dolls still scattering around her toy chest. Was this the life she was going to continue living? It doesn't look like I have much of a choice, unless... Cream felt her heartbeat pick up for a minute as crazy plans of sneaking around behind Vanilla's back flooded her mind, but they faded just as fast. No way! I can't do that! Mom watches me like a hawk. I'd never get away with all that. Oh, water's so good. She sighed again, and then her eyes fell on the cell phone resting on her nightstand. She almost reached for it to call someone, but lost her will as soon as she lifted her arm. There's no way that Amy would understand her problems now, would she? Heck, she would probably agree with Vanilla, since those two were so close of friends now. In fact, they were as close as her and Cream used to be, before Amy had become a mother. Unfortunately, the two had drifted apart, slowly but surely, as Amy's life had become wrapped up in her twins and her Sonic, leaving Cream all but hanging. Of course, Amy hadn't been rude or snobby to Cream. It was just that she had grown up and was a married woman now, while Cream was still in that awkward adolescent stage. And from the looks of it, it seemed she would be here for a long time, thanks to her mother. It's bad enough that I practically lost my best friend. Do I have to lose my crush too? And with these unsure thoughts, Cream decided to call it a day. But before she'd even lay down for 10 minutes, Cream got up again to fish out the cute picture of Tails she'd just thrown away, as she realized this photo might be the only way she'd get to see him. Man, did I dodge a bullet yesterday? Tails thought as he stepped out of the shower. His bare fingertips grabbed a fluffy blue towel to dry off his dripping fur. Once he was somewhat dry, the fox slipped on his gloves and socks, and headed to the kitchen to cook breakfast. I wonder why she was so upset, though, he wondered as the bacon sizzled on the stove. I guess she was just worried, it was all, but the way she looked at me was a little scary. But Vanilla has always trusted me and liked me. I shouldn't worry, but I guess now that I'm dating her daughter, I'm an outsider. Wait, am I dating Cream now? Tails blinked as he thought. Does one date make her my girlfriend? I guess. I mean, I want her to be my girlfriend. A warm blush spread over his face as he pictured Cream's sweet smile. And I think she likes me too. She seemed to enjoy the date, and we got so close to kissing yesterday. But if her mom is gonna go crazy, then we'll have to see. I hope that Vanilla doesn't overreact to a missing note. He grabbed a spatula to flip the bacon over, and had to lick his lips at the sight of the sizzling meat. That carnivore in him was clawing to get out. Aw man, nothing like bacon for breakfast. But before the fox could linger on these hungry thoughts, the chime of his phone reached his ears. He frowned a little in wonder, but turned the bacon down on low heat so he could answer it. As soon as his cyan eyes read the caller ID, his heart raced. Oh, it was Cream, probably filling him in on the lecture Vanilla had given her last night. Oh man, this is gonna be too intense, guys. Hello? Tails said as he picked up. Hi, Tails. The fox did a double take on the caller ID to make sure that it was really Cream, as her voice sounded too sad to belong to the cheerful rabbit he thought he knew. Cream, what's up? Bad news. Tails' stomach dropped down to his feet. What is it? I'm so sorry, Tails, but we can't go out anymore. Tails froze. He'd expected the worst, but this was harsh. All because of one missed note? Still, he was too shocked to say anything, so Cream continued in a voice that sounded like she was holding back tears. I'm sorry, Mom says that I have to wait until I'm 16 until I date anyone. 16? Tails echoed loudly, as Cream winced on the other end from his shouting. That's all because of last night? You forgot a note? Cream bit into her lip, but blushed as she realized what she was about to say. Well, yes, but also, Her face now felt like it could melt an icicle. Well, remember what happened to Sonic and Amy a few years ago? Mom's afraid that might happen to me. Cream finished off in a whisper. Tails felt a blush wash over his face, so hot that it could probably help cook the bacon. Was all he could mutter, as he was too embarrassed to say more. But I think she's just being overprotective and too strict, Cream said quickly, wanting to change the subject. Isn't that ridiculous? As if we would do that. Mom's just being crazy and strict. But I have to obey her, so... Her sadness replaced her embarrassment. We can't go out. I am sorry, I had fuss yesterday. I had fun, so much fun, and I really like you, but... Unless you want to wait... Cream cringed and waited equally for his response. Her heart was silently pleading for him to promise that he would, but all Cream heard was silence on the steady sound of Tails' breathing. Why wasn't he answering? Tails wasn't answering because he was still processing all of this horrible knowledge. Cream couldn't date until she was 16? Tails felt his heart clench in anguish as it began to sink in. That meant no more dates with her for 3 whole years. He wouldn't get to hold her and kiss her, even though he liked her and she liked him. She just said that she did, and yet they couldn't be together, at least not now. He felt his fingers that were holding the phone start trembling. Oh, it just wasn't fair. Why should he have to wait that long? It wasn't like they were gonna do anything bad. Tails? Her angelic voice calling his name did nothing but tug at the fox's heartstrings. Oh, it was too much. Cream? Pronouncing her sweet name was too hard. I'm sorry, I like you too, but well, that's a long time, and... The rabbit's heart sank. So that was a no. I won't wait for you then. Fine, well, what could she expect out of the boy anyway? It was hard for anyone to wait that long, but that meant Tails was lost, and now she was going to have the pleasure of watching him go on to date and marry another girl, who's more available. Oh, why, Mom, why? You tell me to choose a boy carefully, but now you won't let me have the only worthwhile one round. It's okay, it's not your fault. Bye, Tails, she said quickly, and feeling unlike herself and heartbroken, Cream hung up on Tails and collapsed into a pile of tears. Author's note: I have a feeling that some of you are really hating Vanilla right now, But please, try and see this from her point of view. Seeing firsthand what Amy went through, and being a single mother herself, it made sense that she would throw the 16 rule on Cream. Holy cowpoke though, I feel like I did a good job on this chapter, with Cream at least. What my newest job will be to show how this will realistically play out with everyone involved. Oh man, smiley face. This'll be fun. As we approach the 2/3 mark on our wonderful hour in the cafe, I'd just like to talk about how amazing water is, first of all. Water is like the breath of all life, and I'm glad that I packed some water. Because then if I didn't pack water, I'd have to leave this wonderful hour in the cool kids' coffee corner. And I wouldn't be able to do that. It'd be too much. But what I could do is talk about this. I apologize. My thoughts, they're not. This cool kids coffee corner. It is a place where I feel as though, in calmness and retrospective, you can look at emotional moments and truly begin to understand the feelings of these characters that we're going on a journey with. Now, by all accounts, this isn't the worst fanfiction that you could ever find upon the internet. This is by far one of the better ones. It tells an emotional tale about two children who are growing up learning what love is and slowly being denied the functions of that. I feel as though there might be some people in the cafe today who could understand that quite well. I myself, I'm just the master with all forms of women, as you can clearly tell by my day job. So, from my perspective, I feel as though, from Vanilla's point of view, it is the correct thing to do. However, I feel as though to explore one's emotions, and to explore one's ideas of emotions as a young child growing up, that is necessary in order to grow up, and being denied that entirely, without even a chance, it's heartbreaking. Intro to Chapter 3, Boys Will You Boys. Auto Knight 01, BK00, Rafael Pereira, Jackal the Kitsume, Tyrant FX, Prominence Flare, Cookie the Foxcat, Hollow Spardio 258, Mana the Cat Magician, Novus Umbra, Delta 2-1, Rug Tugba, Trumpet Girl 818, MKS Fan 14, Skull Y2K, Phineas and Ferb's #1 fan - not Irving, Polka, Charlotte the Chicken, Mike Prower the Fox, Trinita, John Man 14, Scully 2K. Teehee, I love you guys. I would say that I've never gotten such a mixed reaction to a single character before. And well, I guess I haven't. Oh, I just read that entirely wrong. I will go back, and I will give you the best for the people in the Cool Kids Coffee Corner. I love you guys. I would say that I've never gotten such a mixed reaction to a single chapter before, and well, I guess I haven't, huh. I got readers that agree with Vanilla, and readers that side with Cream. Oh well, this is just how I like it. Those of you who know me have probably guessed which side I lean to. Though as the author, I really can see both sides. And if you really know me, then you won't be a bit surprised at what this chapter is about. Chapter 3, Boys Will Be Boys. Wait, Cream! Tails quickly tried to interrupt, but was just answered with the monotonous, annoying sound of the dial tone. Crap, he thought as a frown deepened across his muzzle. Oh, why'd she hung up on him? He had about to say that he would try and wait for her, but he'd stumbled over his words like the nervous wreck he always was around the girl, and now she was probably thinking that he didn't like her anymore. Man, I should have just said it, Tails realized as the despair started settling in. Ooh, oh man, I just lost that. Okay, I'm back in. And his blue eyes regarded the jet black phone. Wait, I gotta try and call her back, he decided, and started quickly punching in the memorized numbers. He frantically held the phone up to his ear again, but was only met with the voicemail, indicating that Cream had shut off her phone, or at least wasn't answering it. Cream, yeah, it's Tails. Look, I'm sorry that I didn't give you a good answer, but, I was trying to say that I would try and wait for you. I really like you, and even though 3 years is a long time, I think it'd be worth it to me. His voice cracked again, and Tails flushed pink from what he'd just said. He paused for a minute, thinking, before he remembered he was still on the phone, leaving a message. I mean, we can still call each other, right? We can still talk and see each other, so it won't be that bad. We can make it if we try, so, yeah. Please call me back when you get this. Thanks, Cream. Bye. He pushed down the red button to hang up and let out a labored sigh, still trying to process what he'd just learned in the past few minutes. Feelings of bitterness and injustice, as well as good old-fashioned pain, flooded Tails' heart. As he snapped his eyes shut, he wasn't able to visually focus on anything else around him. All he could see right now was Cream's warm brown eyes, her dimpled smile, her soft white muzzle that he wouldn't be able to kiss. A hissing sound suddenly reached his ears, and Tails opened his eyes again. The bacon, he remembered, but as he approached the meat still sizzling in the cooking pan, it suddenly didn't look quite as savory. In fact, the sight caused his stomach to lurch. In one quick moment, Tails snapped off his stove and then tossed the fully cooked bacon into the trash. It was certainly true that the only thing that could quell a healthy 15-year-old boy's appetite would be a girl. And what a girl Cream was. She was everything Tails could ever want, but she was no longer available for him to date. And it wasn't like he had lost her to another boy, but to her strict and unyielding mother. And what could he do to ever hope to win her away from Vanilla? The woman was of strong convictions, and wouldn't be swayed by hardly anything. If Tails knew anything about her, he knew this. So what could he do? 3 years was an awful long time to wait, and he didn't know if he would be able to make it. Even if he told himself that he could do it, what's to say that he wouldn't find himself not just liking her anymore, even a year from now? What part of him wanted to promise Cream that he would be ready to go on her 16th birthday? Tails didn't want to get Cream's hopes up only to let her down later. He didn't want her to hold onto his promise, only for him to break it off with her later. So what could he do? There was no question that he liked Cream, and she returned his feelings. They were both eager to go out and get to know each other better, but they were stuck. Come on, Tails, think logically, he scolded himself. Your problem right now is that Vanilla doesn't trust you and Cream to be alone together, so try and think of how you can solve that, not the waiting game. He needed help. How in the world could he hope to convince Vanilla that he wasn't going to try anything, and that his and Cream's aim was only fun? Almost out of water. The prospect of talking directly with the rabbit was very frightening, so maybe he'd have to do it indirectly. An idea flashed through Tails' ingenious brain, and he let out a relieved sigh. That just might work. It certainly wouldn't hurt to try. There was nothing Tails wanted more than to take Cream, and he was willing to go through great lengths to be able to do that. After only a moment's hesitation, the fox punched in the familiar numbers and then raised the phone to his ears. He only heard one ring before connection was made. Hello? Tails blinked, surprised. Well, that was certainly not who he'd expected to answer the phone. Sonic? Little bro! The blue hedgehog's very enthusiastic voice raced through the airwaves. Hey, what's up, man? What are you doing home right now? Shouldn't you be at work delivering everyone's mail? Tails said a little rudely, though he tried to mask his disappointment. He couldn't believe that Amy hadn't been the one to answer. Sonic hardly seemed to notice. I got the day off today, actually. Not by choice, but the boss just sent me home. Not that I'm complaining, I get to see the twins more, but anyway, what's up? Oh, crap, he'd been hoping to talk with Amy, since her and Vanilla were so close, but how could Sonic help him? Now, if this had been 3, heck even 1 year ago, Tails wouldn't hesitate in asking his big brother for advice. In fact, he was probably where Tails would have gone first, but now, well, what would Sonic say? Would the hedgehog be able to help him out? Wait, why am I so resistant talking to Sonic? He's my best friend. Why am I even hesitating? But it's his fault that this all happened, you know. Tails shrugged the thought off. I can't think that. Sonic is still my big brother. Oh, is Amy there? Amy? Sonic confirmed, confused. No, she's out shopping. Once she heard that I had the day off, she wanted to leave the twins home with me so she could go out for once. Why? What do you need to talk about with her? I was hoping to, but, okay, that's fine. Mind if I come over? He asked.
Course not, little bro.
Sonic paused on the other end for a minute, and then Tails could hear a muffled sound of Sonic shouting,
Hey guys, Uncle Tails is coming over.
Excited screams echoed in the background, coming from Sonic's 2 children. Tails found a smile coming over his face, in spite of himself. Alright, Sonic, I'll be right over. Swooping down out of the crystal blue sky, Tails fought a hesterly... Man, I am, like... When you're inside the cool kids' coffee corner for long enough, you just become entranced in the world. I have to finish this before I get lost. Swooping down out of the crystal blue sky, Tails fought a blusterly headwind and landed right outside the hedgehog residence. He wiped his sneakers off on the muddy welcome mat and rapped his knuckles on the door. He had only to wait 1 full second before the dung swung open, revealing a cobalt hedgehog with bloodshot eyes and tears rolling down his cheeks. Sonic?
Hey Tails, good to see ya.
Sonic sniffed and smelled through his tears. The fox blinked his baby blue eyes. What happened to you? Why are you...
Oh, the tears?
Sonic chuckled.
I'm just cutting onions, they're brutal. But come in, they're waiting for you.
The fox shrugged, but as soon as he was fully inside the hedgehog home, his legs were suddenly attacked on both fronts.
Uncle Tails! Uncle Tails! Uncle Tails!
2 high-pitched and excited voices, belonging to 2 boisterous 3-year-olds, shouted. A startled gasp escaped the fox's lip as he looked down at the 2 toddler hogs, ferociously gripping his legs. I got here first, the lavender one, a rambunctious yet sweet girl named Sierra, proclaimed triumphantly. No you didn't, her brother Chase, an azure hedgehog that looked like a mini Sonic, protested. I did. I'm faster than you. No you're not, Sierra retorted and gripped tighter onto her uncle's legs. Sonic chuckled a little. Hey, calm down, you 2. You didn't even say hi to your uncle. Oh, hi, Tails, Sierra said sweetly and nuzzled against her leg. Hi, Uncle Tails. Daddy, are you gonna come play with us now? Chase asked innocently, his emerald green eyes wide in question. Sonic hunched over, his hands on his knees, to get eye level with the sun. Now, buddy, you go play with your sister for a minute. I'm going to talk with Uncle Tails and finish cooking, alright? But as soon as I'm done talking, then we get to have fun, okay? I don't know why he gave Sonic like a half, like Irish, like, oh, you'll go play with your son now. But, okay, we're just gonna roll with it. Why not now? Sierra asked and pouted before finally peeling herself off of Tails' leg. Sonic had to smile at her impatience and raised his hands to affectionately ruffle Sierra's quills. He loved his kids way too much. Because
your dad needs time to warm up so he can keep up with you 2. You're getting too fast for me.
Oh my gosh. They both giggled at the response, and then Chase suddenly tapped Sierra on the shoulder. It! He screamed and ran out the door to the fenced-in backyard. Chase, no fair! Sierra called out before running after him. The father raised his still teary eyes to meet Tails, though now they might be wet for a different reason. Man, I love those 2. Gotta keep an eye on them. Though, sorry bro, you know how excited they get. It's fine, Tails said, even though he was sweating a little. So, Amy really left you alone with these 2? Yeah, I'm glad she did. They're a lot of fun, Tails. They're the only ones who can keep me on my toes, except for Ames, of course. But she's out maternity shopping, so... Maternity? Tails echoed. Already? She's hardly showing. A cheeky grin came over Sonic's face. Oh no, she's definitely showing, if you pay attention. Not that I do or anything, but yeah, even she wasn't. It's Amy and Chopin that we're talking about. She wanted to go as soon as she found out a few months ago. 4 months now? Yep, 5 to go, and I get another little one to chase around. Sonic looked out the window and smiled fondly as children romping around the backyard. So you're used to being tied down then? Tails asked.
Psh, Tails, look at them. Do these kids look like they're gonna tie anyone down? Yeez, if anything, they make me run more than usual, and that's hard to do. Plus, they're different every day. So, Tails, you have no idea how much I'm loving life right now. My day job lets me do what I love all day, and then I get an awesome family to come home to. Yep, life is sweet.
Tails felt a pang of jealousy for the blue hedgehog. How could he not? Sonic had a beautiful wife whom he didn't have to wait for anyone. Sonic wiped at his eyes again and headed back into the kitchen to finish up his meal.
So why are you cutting...
Oh, that was Tails. So why are you cutting onions again? Since when did you cook? Tails asked as he followed him. Since I found out Amy's super secret chili recipe, that's when. Not that she's ever told me, of course, though. We've been married for 2 years now.
But I figured out from watching her so many times, Sonic grinned. You slather that on some hot dogs, and man, you've got heaven on a bun. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Tails smiled back, though. He was inwardly rolling his eyes at typical Sonic. I might stick around and eat some, if you guys have any cheese.
See, now why do you have to do that? You have a perfectly wonderful chili jog just dripping with awesomeness, and then you go and spread cheese all over it? Why, Tails, why must you ruin it?
Sonic teased him while playfully punching his arm.
Anyway, look at me talking away. What is it you need that made you want to come over, buddy?
The fox swallowed, and suddenly feeling hesitant to bring it up. Sonic had changed so much now that he was a father. How would he understand his predicament? But then again, who else could he talk to?
Well, I asked Cream out yesterday,
he retorted.
Ah, Sonic said knowingly. Took you long enough. So, how'd it go?
The date was fun, but... Tails cringed as he remembered just how much fun they'd had. Fun they couldn't have anymore.
But?
Sonic prompted. The fox painfully regarded his shoes. Well, Cream called me again this morning and said that Vanilla's not going to let her go on dates anymore. Sonic's jaw dropped.
You're kidding!
I wish I was, but Vanilla said that Cream can't date at all until she's 16. Tails' gaze took on an accusing squint. To protect her.
Wow, that's to protect her from what?
A surge of anger flooded through Tails, but he had to look away, as he wasn't brave enough to say this while looking right into Sonic's eyes. I guess so she doesn't suffer Amy's same fate? Sonic's jaw dropped even further as he let out an indignant gasp at the accusation, but once he got over his initial shock, he growled and took a more defensive pose, his ears back to his skull, his fist clenched. Hey now, I'm not blaming you. I'm just repeating what Cream told me, Tails said quietly, suddenly regretting saying anything, and hating to have Sonic be upset with him. The older one relaxed, though smiled had disappeared.
So, you and Cream can't date.
Tails nodded, and risked a peek back at Sonic. Yeah.
What are you gonna do, Tails?
I don't know. I was hoping to talk with Amy to get her opinion, because her and Vanilla are so close, but... Sonic felt slighted for a minute.
You know, I'm always here for you, bro, but man, that must be rough. Jeez, why don't you try and talk with Vanilla?
Tails blushed and shook his head. No, I'm a little scared to...
Come on, Tails. If you really want to go out with this girl, then it should be no problem.
Tails blushed and shook his head. No, I'm a little scared to...
Come on, Tails. You really want to go out with this girl, then it should be no prob.
Now, not for the first time, Tails found himself wishing that he had just a slice of Sonic's self-confidence.
I know. Well, I would tell you to wait those 3 years, but that'd be like the wind telling a mountain to stand still.
So the only other thing I can say is... What? I'm sorry for the long pause. I just lost it in this phrase.
Well, I would tell you to wait those 3 years, but that'd be like telling the wind. That'd be like the wind telling a mountain to stand still.
I feel dumb. I'll think about it later. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. Sonic frowned, knowing this would be harsh. Find another girl. Tails' eyes got huge. Another girl? You've got to be joking, Sonic. He looked back out the window at the twins. There's no other girl that I want besides her. She's just so... He blushed at his thoughts, and didn't feel like sharing them with Sonic. You know, Sonic, she's 1 in a million. I don't want anyone else. And I really, really like her. I just Don't know what to do. Tails suddenly became ashamed at the hot tears forming in the corners of his eyes. He continued to stare out the window when he felt a strong yet comforting hand on his shoulder. Tails slowly looked back at Sonic and saw nothing but compassion reflected in his jade eyes.
I'm sorry, man. I know it's hard, but I don't know what else to tell you. You either have to talk to Vanilla, or just let her go. Let her go. There's nothing else you can do. I'm sorry, Sonic the Hedgehog.
I know, Tails repeated and ashamedly wiped his eyes.
But cheer up, it won't be all that bad, Sonic said and squeezed Tails' shoulder before releasing it. You two can still see each other, right? I mean, can't you go over there when Vanilla's there? And you can still call her, right? So it's not like she's gonna be under a rock, know what I mean? It won't be that bad. You can make it, Sonic encouraged him.
I hope you're right, Sonic. A girl like Cream is so hard to find, Tails said wistfully. After this conversation, the two brothers headed back outside to play with the twins. Chase and Sierra wouldn't be satisfied with anything other than a good long run around the neighborhood, though, so Tails was soon out of the picture. He said goodbye to the three hedgehogs and then headed back home, still wondering how in the world he could change a stubborn rabbit's mind, or if he had enough courage to try and do so. Author's notes. I know, not much Tails Cream here, but just needed to indulge myself a little, and thought I'd bring you up to speed on what's happening with the hedgehogs. And yes, Amy's pregnant again, yay! But hey, you can't say I didn't warn you that there would be too much Sonic Tails Brotherly in here. Though maybe you weren't expecting it just like this. The two brothers have an odd relationship right now. If you remember back in Passion, they had a sort of falling out because Tails felt betrayed that Sonic would do that, and then in tying the knot they became buds again. But now, with Tails growing up and wanting to become his own person and find his own way, and take a chance on today, sorry, couldn't resist that one, he's sorta drifting back away from his big bro, and may even blame him for his predicament, as it is indirectly his fault. Chapter 4, which will have more of the main couple, will be very soon. Maybe even tomorrow, but I'll tell you now, after tomorrow. Expect little updates from myself because I'm getting my GameCube early. Smile. And that has been a wonderful hour in the Cool Kids Coffee Corner. I hope you enjoyed, and I know that some things might change since we started, but that's what happens. The emotions, they build, they transform you into something completely different than what you started out in. I hope to do this weekly, so until next time, enjoy your coffee.